one of the things I found myself struggling with is that there was a belief, there was a lie that I've believed that had me a little bit more consumed with the news. And I think a lot of people can relate to this than I should have been, if I'm being very honest with you. And so there's three lies in our soul that we believe. And these things are what the enemy has contrived in order for us to stay in this loop. And so I want to talk about these things, and I want you guys to really reflect on these things, because if we don't undo the lie, we don't undo the wound. If we don't undo the wound, then we carry this weight, we carry this burden that we don't have to carry. A lot of us, we talk about our spirit, and spirit is one thing, but the soul is different than the spirit, and the soul is different than the flesh. The soul is a combination. Soul has all of our, and I'm actually going to look up a definition so you guys, because I know somebody really defined it well. So our soul is made up of our mind, our will, and emotions. It is the seat of our feelings, desires, and affections. It is the character or the substance of a person. Again, the mind, the will, and the emotions. The mind, the will, and the emotions. The mind, the will, and the emotions. That is the soul. Spirit, obviously, you guys know we all have a spirit. When our spirit leaves our body, it's out. Right? We don't have nothing left. So there's a spirit within us, because if you ever see our heart stop, there's no life in it. Our bodies are not moving. Right? We house a spirit. There's a spirit that makes me Sam, and that makes Maria, and that makes Kev, that makes Kashan, that makes Max. Again, we all house a spirit. And then there's a soul, our mind, our will, and our emotions. Now, if we don't address soul wounds, things that have happened, our mind and our will keep us in loops, ruminating on things that happen in our lives, and it does not allow us to move forward. A lot of people are not moving forward in this season. And family, let me just emphasize this. It is imperative for us to start moving forward, because if you see what's happening in the world today, you know we only have so much time. And even if you think you have time because of your age, we just saw two people that made major news. They were under the age of 35, and they are no longer alive. They lost their life. So when we think about time is relative, because if I'm 35 years old and I live to 75 years old, I have time. But if I'm 35 years old and my end date, my expiration date is 50, I don't have that much time. The problem is that we don't know the end date, and we're so afraid of that. I find that a lot of people live in this little plastic box, thinking that if I have some type of control or try to exert control, I'm going to live longer. Now, I do believe that there's wisdom, and I do believe that there's permissive will and preferred will. And there's people that do things and have done things to have taken themselves from the planet earlier than maybe what God had preferred or had intended. But I don't want anybody on this live, because we have a will and we have a choice. I don't want anyone on here to live a life that is beneath what God has intended for you. And a lot of us are. And it's because of the fear. It's because of this fear and the terror that is being put out on this news, on all these things. This is what's happening in the world. So the enemy is getting us, and has always gotten us, in fear. Fear of being hurt again. Fear of that last heartbreak. Fear, if I leave here and I do this, or if I leave this relationship, or I leave this job, or if I leave this situation, there's fear that keeps us in traps. And so today I'm trying to kick open the door to fear. I'm rebuking and binding the spirit of fear. And I'm here to tell you guys, fear doesn't have a voice here anymore. Fear doesn't live here anymore. That's what I want you to say in your house, because I think that fear is what's keeping a lot of us in broken places, and you don't have that much time. Our life here is but a vapor, and there is a purpose and there is a plan that God has for your life. And I don't want anybody on here to miss it because of fear, because of what we're seeing on the news. Oh, I don't want to be that bold because what if that happens to me? I don't want to go there because what if no. Because what I do know is that there's a God that is sovereign and he is ultimately in control. That no life leaves this planet without him knowing or consenting, and I don't understand the why. I wish I did understand the why. But what I do know is that he's ultimately in control. And if we do understand his love and we understand his sovereignty, it casts out fear. But one of the strongholds that the enemy uses is fear. What if it doesn't happen for me? What if it's the end? What if my best years are behind me? What if I don't make it to where I want to make it to? Or what if I don't meet the person? Or what if I don't have the kids? Or what if I don't have the marriage? Or what if I don't make the career accolade that I've been dying to make? What if those what ifs are what the enemy uses to keep us stuck? Or to make a decision in haste. Either way, he has control. And so we want to address these soul wounds because these lies are what cause us to make decisions. These are this is like the ground. We talk about core wounds. This is the ground. This is the soil that all these decisions are built on top of. So if I identify, which a lot of us identify, and I'm going to tell on myself on this slide because listen, y'all, one of the things I told you guys from the very beginning, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to lie. Because I want you guys to be honest with yourselves. So, let's get into it. 3 lies people believe. And again, y'all, there's a lot of soul classes you guys can take to clean, there's workshops you can do. Soul care is very important. We tend to focus on our physical, spiritual, but a lot of us neglect our soul. And it's a very important part. It's a very important part of our being. And so again, soul care is a big thing. There's a lot of different, I think there's a workshop. I don't know. There's a book. Invest in yourself, right? Your soul's important. So the number one lie is the performance lie. Now, family, if I'm being honest with you, I've struggled with this. But I see a lot of men struggle with this lie, that your value is dependent on your performance. People that are of God, people in general who live under the performance lie, live tethered, not to the love of Christ, but to their own sense of personal accomplishment. Meaning, in their minds, they know they're loved by God. But when they underperform in the things that matter to them, their joy level says otherwise. I've met people that because they're not performing, because maybe they're not working, maybe they're not doing what they normally do. Maybe you can't, maybe you've fallen sick, maybe something has happened, maybe you had to relocate, maybe you had to switch jobs, maybe you're out of a job, whatever that is. That performance lie will have you feeling like less of a human being because your worth is tied to your performance. Like if you're not making that much money, you don't feel good about yourself. If you're not busy every day on phone calls, doing business, doing this and that and the third, you don't feel as good about yourself. That is a sign that because that is where your worth is tethered, that is the lie that you believe, that my worth is tied to my performance. That's a lot of us. That's not just me. It might not just be, there's a couple people on the live that identify with that. But that's a lie from the enemy to make you feel like, and the world will reinforce this, because the enemy will use the world to reinforce it, that if I'm not productive, if I'm not performing, I'm worthless. That's a lie. And that lie will keep you on a hamster wheel. That lie will keep you running after things all like this. You just can't stop. Your kids want you to be present, but you just can't stop. Your family wants more time with you, but you got time, but you still can't stop. You just keep on going. You just keep on running. There's no stopping you. That's because internally you believe, whether you realize it or not, that your worth is tied to your performance, that people will only love you if you're producing. And that even though you may be in a season where you cannot produce like you would normally produce, you're still finding ways to produce, because that is where you identify your worth. Family, that's a lie. That's a lie. Your worth is not tied to your performance. Not in God's economy. It's not. I feel the need to say this. You're already chosen. You're already loved. That from the very beginning of time, before you said a word, before you made $1, there's a God that saw you. There's a God that knew you. And there's a God that chose you from the beginning of time. And when you believe this performance lie, it makes it very hard for you to be present, because you're always feeling the need to perform. So you may neglect the relationships you actually value. You may not pursue the relationships you actually desire, because you're so fixated on performing. But if you've been there, like I've been there, you feel productive, but it still feels a little bit empty. It's never really enough. You can have the most productive Monday in the world, but Tuesday you wake up and you want to produce again. It's never really enough, because it was never meant to fulfill you. It was never meant to sustain you. You can have a great Wednesday and wake up on Thursday. What else I got to do? Where I got to go? What do I got to do? What phone call I got to make? What do I have to, what? It's because you've been believing a lie. And if you felt like you were already worthy and you were already chosen, and that you wouldn't, if you didn't produce another dollar, you were still good enough, you would not work yourself the way that you do. That's the truth. The truth of the matter is, how you work, how you run yourself to the ground, how you find things to do when you don't have anything to do. When God has already cleared the schedule, you find in more things to do, because you just can't sit still. You got to figure something out. It's not that you're behind, and some of y'all, if you're not even behind in your bills, you're doing well. You all right. You still can't rest. You still finding things to do. Your worth, the lie you believe, is that your worth is tied to your productivity. And I'm here to stand in the face of that lie and reveal it as a lie. It's a lie. And as long as you believe that lie, you'll continue to run this hamster wheel race, running yourself to the ground, neglecting the relationships that matter, and ultimately feel unfulfilled. It's a soul wound. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's not just be every once in a while. Let's become framily, okay? Friends that are family, okay? Join my family today.